I say with this one, as usual, for the Hurt Handbook at this point, we should just get right into it. I mean, I enjoyed this card a lot more on my second watch because I was obviously a lot less tired. But, man, that was a really fun one. And obviously I think we should just start with the main event just because Alex Volkanovski put on quite the performance, man. Like,
as he usually does.
This one was like different though. Like I was thinking about this like as I watched it a couple more times today. Like that was like one of those flawless type performances like Stylebender versus Costa, McGregor versus Alvarez. Like that was some performance, man. Like he did not do anything wrong and you could see it from the get-go that he was already in control just because of his speed alone. Like the Korean Zombie was like a step behind him. They were saying that on the broadcast too. But yeah, I mean, what was your overall take of that fight like in your head, I guess?
Just I don't know. Honestly, just I do know actually. Like just afterwards, all it's like, you know, who's stopping this guy right now? Like honestly,
Exactly.
if any like. I wanted to actually hold this till after we talked about the fight and all a little bit, but might as well just bring it up now. At this point, like we're talking like because I think this was actually something like he that he was asked about and answered like afterwards about moving up to 155.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too.
Keeping an eye on the Oliveira Gaethje fight.
Yeah, that was a smart move bringing that up. I think that's a interesting step up. And I mean, we can get more into the fight, obviously, but we can talk about this now anyway, just because it ties in. Like, Alex Volkanovski is so skilled. Like, he's good everywhere. He's got the most technical striking. He's fast. He's got power in his hands. And then you factor that in with his ground game. Like, he's got such good takedowns, and he really, like, when he's on top, man, he just knows how to be, like, a dominating presence. And he's always landing vicious ground and pound. And, like, the damage he was putting on the Korean Zombie throughout that whole fight is just incredible. And that's why, like, when you think about him moving up, like, you got to think about it like this. Like, if you're looking at 145, you only have Max Holloway right now. That's really the obvious contender. I still think maybe you should fight him first just because, like, end that, put it to bed.
I agree.
But if he runs through him, I mean, right now at this moment, I don't see anyone touching him. Like
that's what I'm saying. It just looks like he just gets better and better. Like what you're thinking right now is kind of what I thought for the Ortega fight. Obviously, even though the Ortega fight was a lot closer, but yeah.
Well, honestly, if you think about it, it really wasn't that close. It was more just like those couple moments, like, and that's what I'm saying. That
in the sense that like Brian Ortega, he had like Volk for saying clearly like
it was weird, like
because
like, they were similar like dominant performances, but in the Ortega fight, there was that one moment where you really thought it could have been over.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's that pretty much. I would be very interested in either fight. Really, I don't know which one I'd want to see more. Honestly,
more like Oliveira and Gaethje. How do you think he'd fare in either, like just either of them, or in the lightweight division in general? I guess, like since you brought it up, do you think? I
think his wrestling and grappling is good enough to bang with Oliveira, but I still think Oliveira is better in. I still think Oliveira is better in that sense that Oliveira has a better chance of finishing him with a submission than Volkanovski does, and then with Gaethje, like that is
I was thinking about that fight. Honestly.
Dude, that might even be a better fight than this one. Honestly.
Just stylistically, like I'd like both Gaethje and Oliveira. Honestly, I think they're both really fun to watch. So I think that either of those fights would be fun. The thing with me with Volkanovski is more just like at featherweight, you already kind of see that like he's at like a size disadvantage, like in terms of his height. But then like you think about it, he's also been like over 200 pounds, like back when he played rugby. So you know he's got strength, even like despite the lack of height. But at lightweight, the thing is like that's going to be even more pronounced. Like you got guys who are like 6 foot cutting down the lightweight, and he's only 5'6". So I don't know if that would matter against the two guys we were just talking about, but maybe against some of the more like physically imposing guys it might. So I'm not sure. I still want to see it though. I mean, I'm sure you do. But
But yeah, no, I think we do the Max trilogy first.
I think it just needs to be put to bed at this point.
No, it really does. Because I personally think that he's the undisputed best. Even,
yeah, no, me too. He's proven it. That he deserves. People who think he doesn't deserve to be champion at this point, what are you even watching?
I don't think it's more. I don't think it's that they don't think he doesn't deserve to be champion. It's just more in the sense well, I still need to see him fight Max again.
Right.
Leave no stone unturned, and I see what you mean because I've been talking to a few people that are okay, because I personally think that he's the best. I don't think anyone's touching him in featherweight right now for a good amount of time. I think he proved it once again last night, but. No, yeah, you'll still have the crowd that's until he sees Max again, then,
I just want to see it because those two fights, maybe not the first one, I think the first one was a good win for Volkanovski, but the second one I think was so close that third fight is always going to be there, and since that is the only thing that's really in the path right now, I just want to see it because of that. Because Max also does deserve it, he's beaten the guys to get back to it, so...
Yeah.
I just think that he deserves that shot. But, back to Volk, the one thing that I was thinking as I kept watching this fight over and over was I think you could make the argument that he's number one pound for pound. Me personally, I'm putting him there.
Yeah.
And this is no disrespect to Usman. I think Usman is amazing. And especially you look at the guys that he's beaten. But in terms of, what Volk is doing and how he's making it look, and then you see this now that he's probably you think he's probably going to go up in weight too, and either way I think he's capable of fighting in other weight classes just because of how his weight has fluctuated over his life.
Definitely.
But I think I have him at number one, but what do you think of that argument? You still have him at 1, 2? He's number 2 currently, so.
Yeah, I have him at 2 still personally. I don't think there's any question that there's it's up for debate between him and Usman, but because it's such a now I feel I think I do need to see the last Holloway fight first to really form that that decision I still have Volk 2. I still have Usman 1, and I don't know Volk has a really wide open path to number 1. I think because we're talking about it moving up to lightweight, and if the last Max fight is gonna happen, but right now I'm still gonna have him at 2.
It's fair. I mean, if he goes up to lightweight and wins, then it's kind of hard to deny, but. Right now, I see your point. Honestly, it's fair. That's what I'm saying.
Especially with Usman, at a legit one of probably the biggest threat he's had in a while, in Leon Edwards coming up. If he can get past Leon Edwards, I think even more so. But that's how I'm feeling right now.
Man, I mean.
Also with welterweight just being such a...
That's what he did. He has. That's why I said no disrespect, just because Usman's fought that killer's row of guys, so you can't really sleep on that. But I'm just a big fan of Volk too. Honestly, I was thinking.
Me too.
He's even a class act. At the first start of round 4. He was you sure you want... he didn't even want to continue. He's you sure you're all good? That's classy to, think of things like that mid-fight, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I'm impressed by that, honestly. It shows that he's just, a true champion, in and out. I think he's just a great dude. I'm a fan of him, honestly.
Yeah, I want him to stay champ. I'm enjoying this title run, a lot. I hope, everyone should, honestly, because it's truly, greatness we're watching now at this point with him, but
yeah, I think he's in the conversation right now for one of the best fighters overall on the planet, just from what he's been doing so far. I'm thoroughly impressed by it. Yeah, obviously that main event was something in itself, but honestly, when we were talking about it on Friday, I was saying to myself, well, this is kind of expected though. We thought this was gonna happen, so then we move on to the co-main event, and then Nobody thought that was gonna happen, and like obviously me and you like were respecting Sterling's like track record and who he's fought and all that, but man, like did he deliver in that fight? And I guess did you have a chance to watch it again after the first time or no?
No.
But no. I mean, at first when we were watching it, I either had it like just kind of in my head as a draw or 48-47 Jan. But then I watched it a couple more times, and I really watched that first round especially, and I think Aljo won it like fair and square. Like if you watch that first round, people like they point out that Jan is pressuring him the whole time. I get that. If you watch the first 3.5 minutes of that fight, he does not land many punches on Aljamain Sterling. He's throwing big shots and whiffing. And Aljo that whole time is landing with kicks, leg kicks, like jabs on the outside. He's picking them apart pretty much. And Piotr does turn it up at the end of the round. He does pretty good, but he doesn't do anything like significant enough to turn the tide. And like when I watched that and I just saw how much more Aljo was landing than Piotr Jan, I gave it to Aljo, honestly, even despite the octagon like control, just because like I think of that as effective striking. And then obviously you get rounds 2 and 3. I ended up saying that those aren't 10-8s just because I don't think it was ever that close to being actually finished. He had the position, but like there were no like actual attempts that you really thought were sunken in. And then obviously I gave Jan 4 and 5, so 48-47 would be my score.
Yeah, no, it probably is honestly just Aljamain Sterling hate, but I was seeing just constant on social media just Jan 145, Jan 145, Jan 145.
It all comes down to that first round, and like if you want to say that Jan won it, I can like see the argument just because like, and you even watch it back, like the commentary team really doesn't do Aljo any favors by the way that they're talking up Jan the whole time because they're so impressed by his pressure and the way that he cuts off the cage, and I get that because it is impressive. But the thing is, like, you can't let that cloud, like, actual strikes. Like, Aljo's landing, and yeah, like, it's not significant, but, like, if he's landing at such a high clip compared to Piotr Jan, you can't give that round to Jan. That's just the way I feel. Yeah. And... yeah, I mean...
Aljo's able to hang around on the ground, too.
Exactly. I mean, he thrived on the ground.
Which is what really, like, caught me by surprise. Like, wow,
he had a great game plan. Like, really just circling the outside of the cage using his movement.
Yeah, you could tell, like, he had, like, just a really good camp. Like,
and that's a smart veteran move, too. Like, he's improving over time. Like, he sees what went wrong in the first fight, and he didn't make those mistakes again.
Yeah.
And that's impressive. Is it just me, or were you getting nervous every time that they were in the similar position to when you need him in the first fight? There were a few times when Aljo was on, like, a knee up against the cage, and Jan had him in that position. I was like, please don't knee him. Please don't knee him. Especially in round 5, because I was like, if he's losing the decision, he might do something drastic.
How hilarious would that be?
Oh my god, you couldn't get another shot after that.
People would still find a way to be like...
yeah, someone would say
Jan got robbed. Or...
yeah, it's unbelievable, man. Like, people are still saying that right now. They're saying Jan got robbed, but even Jan's saying it, but he should be saying it, you know?
Yeah.
You gotta promote yourself. But the thing is, like, I don't know, I was just really impressed by Aljo's game. He was good on the feet, like, good enough to, like, survive that first round and like outstrike him in the first round, and even in rounds 4 and 5 he held his own. But man, his grappling though was really what made the statement, and we were talking about it too in the Hurt Sportsbook one, just because we were saying like if there's a way that he's gonna win, he's got to get it to the ground and take his back, and like that's what happened. Like he has such great back takes. That's the thing. Like people sleep on Aljo because they hate him, but man, is he good. But what did he call out? TJ next?
Yeah, TJ.
How do you think that fight goes? Obviously, like, off the top of your head.
I mean, first of all, like, who knows? I don't know if maybe it was just like because TJ was there and that was like maybe like a low hanging fruit or whatever. But I think it's so odd. I think TJ. I think Aljo, especially in this fight, like would be able to dominate TJ on the ground.
You think
and
so?
Then, yeah,
possible. It's definitely possible.
And give him fits on the feet as well, of course.
I feel like they both actually have similar styles on the feet, except TJ's not as like chaotic with it. He's more measured.
Mm-hmm.
But the way that they both switch stances and use kicks and like, I just think that they have a similar striking style.
I really like TJ striking.
He's fun to watch, man. I'm like glad he's back. Like, you know, it was a long time. What was that? 2 years he was gone for the EPO suspension. And I mean, Aljo really let him have it, and he deserves it, man. Like, I mean, I get that he paid like his debt for it, but like, you know, people are gonna feel bad for him if he's getting booed by Jacksonville. I don't feel bad. Like, if you cheated, you cheated. Mm-hmm. I like TJ Dillashaw, and I'm saying that, but I think that's an interesting fight. I don't know. I mean, after seeing how Sterling did against Jan, I could definitely see him doing something similar to TJ in terms of like taking his back and stuff.
Yeah.
But man. TJ has like a similar like well-rounded style to Jan, but the difference I think is that Jan seems like he's more of a striker, but TJ has really good wrestling as his base. Mm-hmm. So like I think that TJ might have better takedown defense, and he might not make the same type of mistakes, which is what makes me think it might be a striking battle.
You think Aljo's the one that's shooting for takedowns, and I mean I think it would play the other way around. That's why.
I could see them both honestly going for because they're both so like well rounded.
It's a very even. It's honestly like a more like even fight than you like when you like really like talk about it and like dissect it and break down. Like it does like it would that probably would be like actually a really close fight if it happened.
That's true.
I don't know. Maybe
it's an interesting one to think about. It's because they're ground games. That's the question. Like I wonder how TJ's like defensive grappling would go against like Aljo's like good, because Aljo's such a good scramble. But then again, I say to myself, so's TJ. So I don't know, man. That's an exciting fight. So I hope it does happen because I want to see it. But in terms of Piotr Jan, I don't know where he goes from here. The bantamweight division's like a whole cluster at the top at this point.
Yeah.
Who knows where he goes from
It's
here.
just so weird because like. I think he beats everybody else in the division.
I mean, who could you give him? You got Font versus Vera coming up in a few weeks. Maybe you give him the winner of that. And I don't see either of them getting through Piotr Jan. Even Rob Font, as good as he is. Like,
I mean, Rob Font, who just lost to how
he lost to Aldo.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to think about how old Jose Aldo is now, which is
not too old actually. Well. He's in his 30s.
Actually, yeah, no, he.
People say he's like 39. Like, no, man, he's like he's younger than TJ Dillashaw. Isn't that crazy to think about?
That is pretty wild.
Yeah, man. It's like that is pretty baffling to think about. Like, he doesn't look younger, that's for sure. Maybe it's because he's been fighting forever, but that is unbelievable. I mean, the bantamweight division, dude, is just outstanding. I can't.
Marlon Vera, though, I really do like the trajectory that he's on. I think he would. I think if he puts on like which I think he does stand a pretty good chance of putting like a really like impressive showing against Rob Font. This is another guy that I think it's just getting better and better with each coming fight. And in that case, like I think it's just depending on what we see from there, like I don't know, maybe you could give Jan, you know, some run for his money at least, not just a complete one-sided.
I think Vera's such a game fighter and is so tough that he could like definitely put up an interesting fight against Piotr Jan. I still don't think he'd win personally, but I could definitely see him giving him a fight. And Rob Font, I just think the striking isn't. Then again, man, I don't know, that bantamweight division I can't pick. Like. I never want to commit fully until I watch like the actual fights to back it up.
I'm trying, and what about like, not to say that this is who Jan should fight next, but here's another guy up at, you know, in the top 5 of bantamweight, in Corey Sandhagen. Like, what's going on with him? You know,
well, I don't know if you give him Jan again. I think it's been too soon. Like,
I don't think so either. But that's still like another top 5 name that you have to, like, you know.
Who did he say he would fight? He said he would want Aldo or Cruz, which, hey, Fine with me. Again, fine with me. I'll take either of those fights. But then again, who else is up there? You got. Then there's Merab, but I don't want to see Merab against Corey Sandhagen, honestly. I'd rather see Merab against like
Where's Song Yudong?
Nah, he's not in that level yet. I don't think.
Nah, not yet.
I think you got to give him like another maybe in the middle. Man, I don't know. That division is just too stacked. I can't pick like right now. I think once Font versus Vera happens, it'll be easier to kind of unpack it because that's like the last big bantamweight fight right now. So then like when we see how that fight goes, we'll really be able to look at like the division objectively rather than just guessing like we kind of are now.
Yeah,
but
good point.
I guess we've exhausted all we need to talk about for this fight. Honestly, just congratulations to Aljo, though, just because, I mean, he's been taking it on the shins for the past year. So for him to win this fight, it's got to feel pretty good.
Yeah, you can move forward finally. So.
Exactly. Like people are still going to hate, but people are going to hate on it, like anybody who's having a successful career. Like, you can't hate on what Aljo's done at this point.
Yeah.
So he proved that he deserves to be the champ. You know, whether you think he won or lost that fight, he was in that the whole time. So, anyway, on to what could have been honestly a main event on a fight night: Gilbert Burns versus Khamzat Chimaev. So, I guess I'll let you start out with this one, just because I don't want to hog it all up. But what did you think of this fight? That's it. Simple question.
It was what I hoped it would be. Like, in the sense that, you know, Gilbert just can't, like, Gilbert cannot, which actually happened. Gilbert was on his back. Khamzat did have Gilbert on his back, and he was able to get out of it. And in my head, like, what I was thinking, like, as soon as that happens, it's over. But Gilbert, then this. That's another just showing and reason as to why, like, this is one of my favorite welterweights in the division right now. And I'm really, like, because now I think he has a lot more notice and press to his name after that showing.
You're talking about Gilbert?
Yeah, which I think he should have gotten.
That's weird. I'm literally looking at the other camera. We should just address this at this point on the pod. We've had so many problems with it. We could just tell people, yeah, we're trying to work out this other camera, and it has not been cooperating. But anyway, back to
I just want to make sure you're good. But anyways,
I just saw it go black. I'm like, damn. But all right.
Yeah, man. Gilbert came at 100% ready in game and. Like, yeah, no one, kind of like Aljo in a way, except obviously Aljo is in the Champions seat, which is even a weirder situation, but everyone was counting Gilbert out, like, even, honestly, including us, like, we're not going to try and hide that, and he put on, like, good for him, man, because I think, even in a loss, like, obviously the loss, like, sucks, but...
He definitely,
I think
his stock didn't go down with that one.
No, I think
he got his win bonus
I would
too.
I'm pretty sure he knew the risk he was taking with taking that
fight.
Like no one else was that fight that no one else was taking either, and
he knows that to get back to the belt, you're gonna have to fight. Like,
he's got absolutely nothing to be ashamed of. I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, he took a risk knowing that if he won, that's probably another title shot for him.
He put on a show, dude.
Yeah,
but. Right back on the other end, we got a huge, like, you know, piece to take away and now, like, to use of, like, who Khamzat really is.
Yeah, like, I think this is the only fight now we can really, like, now we can finally look at it, like, objectively, because now we've seen him get tested by someone who's...
He got tested and he passed the freaking test.
Oh, yeah. Like, I see people hating, saying that the hype wasn't real, like... He just beat the number 2 guy in the world. What more do you want him to do? Like you want him to run through everybody?
Exactly. They're expecting a finish in the first 30 seconds.
Yeah, like, we were talking pretty highly of him, but, like...
Exactly, that's what I mean. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, you know, this is who Gilbert Burns is, too. Like, this is...
Like, you can have expectations like we did, too, but, like, you have to realize that the guy is human. Like, things are going to happen. And that fight, I think, now we can... look at him and we could say that there's like actual No, I mean there are some flaws there. I mean he has to definitely work on like energy management, head movement. That was why he was getting clipped by so many of those punches by Gilbert. He was walking him down and like really smothering him, but he was keeping his head right in the pocket and he wasn't moving it, which is how he got dropped in round 2. And he was just getting hit by a bunch of hooks the whole time.
I mean, I might have just been like underestimating Gilbert's power.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know though. Because he has such like I feel like what it is that he's been so accustomed to just dominating his opponents that I think he truly believed that no one was gonna be able to get near him like that. And Gilbert showed him
exactly. It's a very real thing. But
I liked hearing after too that he said that this is a learning experience because you could take it one of two ways. You could either be like, well, this is an off night, or you could just be like, all right, well, I made these mistakes and I can learn from them. And even he said it, like, I can work on my energy and I'm going to watch the film and work on all these other areas. That's what I want to hear because that means he's going to get better and he's not arrogant. Like, he's not falling back on his talent alone.
Exactly. Even outside of the octagon, like, he's saying the right things and...
He's a smart guy.
Clearly, like he's got the right team behind him, the right people behind him. We saw Darren Till, obviously.
Yeah, him and Darren have the best bromance in MMA history. I think that is phenomenal. But I'm glad those guys met up. Truly.
Yeah, that is pretty sick. And
I like it though. Like I'm impressed by Hamzat. I really am. Like he passed this test with flying colors, like you said. Like, and we're talking about. Well, obviously we're nitpicking to see like because this is the only time he's been tested. We're nitpicking to see like the negatives, but like you could talk about all the positives in this fight. Like one, he hung in there with Gilbert Burns and was landing shots, powerful shots on him that dropped him in the first round with that jab. That was another thing. That jab,
he
that
really
whole fight was
fantastic. I'm running in my head like he really was getting because there was a few
that
minutes in that
man.
fight towards the end like where does Gilbert have him here like. I had thought, oh my god, like, he's the TKO.
No, I'm talking about Hamzat. I'm saying Hamzat dropping Gilbert like with the jab, and then like even in the third round when Gilbert kind of covered up at the one point. I don't know if that was just because he was tired or not, but still, like the way I had it was like first round Hamzat, second round Gilbert, and then third round Hamzat. Even though the third round was closer than the first, but I just think like his takedown defense too. That's another thing worth noting, just because like. Gilbert had a couple of takedowns where he had him, like he had it fully locked in, and then Hamzat just used like explosiveness and just pure athleticism and skill just to get out of it. And I'm just impressed, man. Like to do that to Gilbert Burns and to have a fight like that with someone who's as like talented as Gilbert Burns is, that proves it. Like you're for real. Like I know like. People are going to hate on him because he actually took damage. God forbid the guy takes damage against the number 2 welterweight in the world. But, I mean, man, he proved that he deserves to be in that title conversation. And with that, we'll move on. Well, not moving on to like the next fight, but moving on to post-fight. So, him versus Colby Covington happening. And how do you see that going if that kind of happens now that we kind of have a better view of Hamzat's skill sets?
I honestly, I don't even want to like try to like predict like how that would go. Honestly, I think that's the fight. Like I really want to be booked as soon as possible, and I just want to really watch, just go in completely and just be like
5 rounds on ABC. Oh my god, I see it now. All the build-up.
I think it's such a good. I'm like, and this is why in this sense, like I was talking about it before this this fight last night happened too, but like, I like this part. Like if I was rooting for someone, like it was Hamzat because like
there's so much upside, man.
I think either Colby Covington versus either of these guys obviously would be great, but first of all we've already seen the Colby and Gilbert, and then
you mean like fight for the title? You're saying
fight for the title, and then. Obviously with all the hype Hamzat has around him, and then obviously you got a guy Colby Covington who can kill any hype train and just like that.
I'm just happy because Hamzat's like a new face in that top 5 that Usman hasn't seen yet, and I think that he might be the guy who has the potential to actually get there. And like when I think of that fight with Colby, it depends on how he rights these wrongs. Because I mean, if he doesn't manage his energy well, Colby's gonna make him pay for that. And like, but the thing is. You can't tell me that Hamzat doesn't have more power in his hands than Colby does. And Colby has good defense, but like it's definitely not airtight. Like he gets hit. You know, we saw it with Usman, and I think that like I'm not saying one way or the other, but like I think that Hamzat can definitely land some punches on Colby.
Yeah.
And what like
Colby's the type of guy to just dominate you for 5 rounds.
see, but that's the thing though. Like if Colby can't take Hamzat down, he's gonna have to stand with him, and like if he's gonna stand with him, and that's what I mean. Like if Hamzat doesn't improve on things like his head movement, like how is Colby gonna be able to connect? But Colby doesn't have that type of power. That's the thing. That's what worries me about that fight. If Colby can't get him down,
I really do think like Hamzat. I think like no disrespect to Colby in the slightest, but I think Hamzat truly like could like.
He could win.
He wins that fight. I don't know. It's so
it's
hard.
It's a weird stylistic matchup because they're both so good at wrestling, but I think Hamzat is so strong, and plus, man, his takedown defense. Like in this fight, I was so impressed by that. Like you saw it. Like he had, and I know Colby's a better wrestler than
Here's
Gilbert
what.
Burns, but still,
If we were to see Colby Covington get ragdolled in his remaining UFC career, I think it would be to Hamzat.
See, I don't think he's gonna get ragdolled now.
Yeah,
like, I figured he could at one point before I kind of like watched Gilbert and the way he was dealing with Hamzat's grappling. I think that Colby can. I honestly feel like this fight is gonna be a lot on the feet, which is kind of funny considering they're both wrestlers. But I just think they're gonna both struggle taking each other down. And I think Hamzat's a lot stronger than Colby, but I think Colby is so technical with his scrambling. And we were talking about that when he beat Masvidal. Like his wrestling, like when he's on the mat, he's so good at scrambling out of bad positions. I don't know if Hamzat can really hold him down for that long. Yeah. Especially since he couldn't even do it to really Gilbert Burns, who isn't as good of like a wrestler as Colby is. So, I don't know. It's an interesting fight to look at. And like now I'm happy that we've been able to see Hamzat in a real fight, and now we know that it's warranted to want to see him versus Colby. And it's crazy that this guy's his 6th fight in the UFC, and we're already talking about him possibly beating the number 1 contender. Unbelievable. And like even past that with Usman, like I don't think that he should be a favorite in a fight with Usman, but you can't tell me that he doesn't have a chance. Like with he has the skill set that could, like, is Usman, you're telling me Usman's going to take him down? I don't think so. That fight's going to be on the feet, and they both have power in their hands at that point. So, and Usman has good striking, but it's not, like Colby's, it's not airtight, although I do think it's a little more airtight because of how awesome Trevor Whitman is. But, man, that's why I'm happy that Hamzat won, because, like, as much as I love Gilbert, this is like new blood in the division, and now like we're gonna get to see this interesting rise. I mean, I haven't seen anything like this in a long time. So, I mean, like I said, 5 UFC fights, you're fighting the number 2 guy in the world already. That's incredible. So, I can't wait to see what's to come with those guys. I'm impressed by both of them, and I'm glad that Gilbert got his win bonus too, because he deserves it. But on to the next fight. We had a lot of close fights on this main card, and obviously, I watched this fight back because I was kind of nodding in and out during it. But Mackenzie Dern versus Tisha Torres, dude, that was like, I thought the scorecards of that were interesting. Like just because I had Tisha Torres winning the first and the third round like pretty easily, but then in round 2 I had it a 10-8 for Mackenzie Dern because she had her in trouble like multiple times in that round. So I think that like that needs to be a 10-8. That's what warrants it in my opinion. And then the reason that like I think the scorecards are kind of like weird is because when I think of it like that, I have it as a draw. So what did you think of that fight? I guess just in terms of what Mackenzie Dern and Tisha Torres were able to do to each other. It was pretty even, like we figured it was going to be, honestly.
Oh yeah, I mean that's also like exactly like usually because. Vegas, just like bypass a little bit, but Vegas, like they're no slouches when it comes to like these numbers, and like this fight was right down the middle, and yeah, it's cool to see that's how like it ended up culminating too. The thing is with me, like I don't usually score try to score a fight like my first time watching it live. You know, I'm just trying to enjoy the fight and be in the moment. So, like, when I watch it back, that's when I'm, like, really looking and, like, trying to score. Which, unfortunately, with this card and, you know, this fight, obviously, like, wasn't able to do that. So, I say, you know, I don't really have scorecard, which I would like to for a fight like this, but
it's just a tough one. I think what was it, Verdict MMA? I feel like that one had a really close card too. But I don't know. It's just an interesting fight because they pretty much both did exactly what we said they would have to do to win. But it was so even now. It's just I think it was a split decision in the end too. I just because Tisha Torres in round 1, she was dancing around the outside using her footwork, picking her apart. Round 2 was the same until Mackenzie Dern took the chance and then she had her in full guard but in midair, which just shows how good Mackenzie is at jiu-jitsu, man. But then that fight obviously went to the ground and Mackenzie was just dominant there, as she should be. I mean, and this is a test. Remember I was saying this too, that one of the things I thought this fight would come down to was who was stronger. Well, it didn't come down to that, but it did end up mattering because I think that might have been the only reason why Tisha Torres didn't end up getting finished, because she was able to use her strength to get out of certain positions. And then in round 3, though, I just had Tisha Torres doing the same in the first round and just dominantly beating Mackenzie Dern.
Yeah, no, that's just how she gets it done. And respect her. I gave it to Torres.
That's fair,
personally.
Man. Well, because if you don't give it a 10-8 for Mackenzie Dern in round 2, then Torres won 2 out of the 3. I still think Torres won 2 out of the 3 rounds. Like I said, I have it as a draw. It sucks because Torres, she's been around that upper echelon for such a long time, and it seems like, she was on a 3-fight win streak, and then she this close, and she just lost. And man, I hate seeing things like that. But Mackenzie Dern, I mean, she's the real deal too. She's getting better and better every time we see her. But
yeah, dude, that just was a lot of fun to watch. She's one of my favorites in terms of that to watch in the division. And yeah, I mean, I agree. I personally gave it to Tisha Torres, and it sucks to see her wave of momentum be put on hold like that. But Mackenzie Dern is the real deal. I think she really does stand a chance in a title fight. And
you think that today she stands a chance in a title fight? I mean,
nah, down the line.
I'm not even saying it like that. I'm saying it just because it's not that her overall. I don't obviously when I compare her and Rose, the overall skill set isn't even close. But it's just the jiu-jitsu of Mackenzie Dern, that can beat anybody on any given night. Yeah. So I keep that in mind when I think of her chances at winning the belt, because all it takes is one good scramble and a deep arm bar, and that's a tap. So, yeah, I mean, she's moving up in the division. She says she's in no rush to get to the title because she knows that the top is pretty log jammed, which it is. So she said she wants to kind of wait.
If Carla Esparza can beat Rose, I think Mackenzie's going to beat Carla Esparza.
Yeah, it's an interesting fight. Wrestling versus grappling, or jiu-jitsu guy, or girl in this case. It's that Damian Maia versus Ben Askren type deal.
Yeah, that is a pretty good parallel right there.
Yeah, because if Carla takes her down, 5 rounds, she's going to last with Mackenzie Dern's jiu-jitsu. I don't know, man. And on the feet, I think they're pretty closely matched. I mean, Carla's striking is kind of impacted by the takedown threat, just because people are so wary of that she's good at landing punches, kind of like Curtis Blades in that sense. She's good at using the threat of the wrestling to help her striking, and same with Mackenzie Dern. But Mackenzie Dern, her boxing has gotten a lot better under Jason Perillo, so that's why I'm impressed by her, because she does tend to get better every fight. So she was saying she wants to kind of wait to see what happens with Zhang Weili and Joanna. I mean, I can't hate on that. That's basically what I would say to do if I was the one trying to help her manage her career. So because that division, you're not going to really get a fight in the top 5 currently, just because Rose and Carla are already fighting, and you already have Joanna and Zhang, and then I think Mackenzie's number 5. So that's it. You just gotta wait at that point. Oh, who else is in the top 5? There's one more person I'm forgetting. Is it Jan? Oh God, I don't know how to say it.
Oh,
she just fought recently. We've talked about her on here.
Yeah.
Jan Zhao. I'm not gonna do it. I respect her too much. I respect her too much to butcher her name. She might be that top 5 person I'm forgetting. But I don't want to waste time looking it up.
Was it Marina Rodriguez that she left?
Yeah, that's the other person, actually. Oh, yeah, you're right. Good thinking.
Yeah.
That's she just beat her.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, well, they just fought, that's the thing, so she's not going to fight Marina Rodriguez. But, yeah, I think she just has to kind of wait. And then Tisha Torres, I mean, the strawweight division's so deep, she'll find another fight pretty quickly, I think. I don't think she took too much damage in this fight, honestly. So hopefully she can get back on the horse quick and get another win.
Yeah.
Get back to the momentum towards the top. I mean, I'm rooting for her. I've grown to like her over time. Like, she really is, like, a good fighter. I'm impressed by her. So, anyway, on to the final fight. Well, technically the first fight of the main card. Vince Pichel versus Mark O. Madsen. I mean, this was a good one. I like this fight. Just because I told you that Vince Pichel should not be counted out. And I know he lost, but he put on a good showing in this fight, and especially in round 2. I had him winning the second round. But at the end of the day, Marco Madsen used his wrestling in round 3, because I had it 1-1 going into that. And then round 3, Marco Madsen just took him down and controlled him. And yeah, that was a wrap, 29-28. As I figured that. I don't know what it is. It's Marco Madsen. Every time I see his name, I'm like, he's probably going to win by a 29-28 decision. And I'm usually right. Like, same thing with Clay Guida. But this fight was definitely, like, more of a clear-cut win for Marco Madsen. But I know you were pretty big on him coming in as an underdog, so I'm sure you're pretty happy about that one, that you're right about that.
Yeah, for the most part, the fight went pretty much like how I expected the most likely way for it to go. Pichel looked better on the feet. Marco Madsen is striking like you.
He's good.
You could say
it's improving.
Exactly. You could say it's underrated if you really want, but it was good enough to withstand. And then obviously, like you just said, inevitably the wrestling came out in full form, and yeah, great win for him. And
he's getting up there in age. He wants to make a title run. I hope they give him someone like ranked next. I think he's earned it. Don't you? I mean,
I do. I see what you mean. It's just I don't know do you have a name in mind?
I mean, I'm just saying that he's beaten guys that can get you in the top 15, but I can look up the lightweight rankings real quick just to kind of see who's at the bottom of them. But
I'll never count out Marco Madsen, but
maybe against Diego Ferreira, he's at 15. That's a good fight. Good jiu-jitsu versus good wrestling. Oh my god, that's the fight I want to see. Book it. Let's see. Actually, maybe I don't know if he has a fight booked though. That always happens to me. I always say book it, and then some know-it-all on Instagram has to tell me that this fight actually got booked, him versus him on a fight night that nobody cares about. No, but let's see if you got a fight booked before I'm too quick. Yeah, no, it doesn't seem like it. So that's the fight I want to see. I mean, great jiu-jitsu versus great wrestling. What more can you ask for? That's a good stylistic matchup.
I have no objections.
There we go.
Absolutely.
Take that, Sean Shelby, if you're watching. I guess with that we can move on to the prelims, because I think that fight was pretty easy to break down. It was one round. There wasn't much.
Yeah, nothing really caught
debate,
me by surprise by that.
Yeah.
Once again, I was expecting Pichel to be more dominant on the feet, which for the most part he was, and
yeah.
Mark Madsen to eventually get an opening for the grappling.
I will say this: they both did use leg kicks very well, and that's both of them. Pichel and Madsen. I think that they both did a good job at trying to stifle each other's movement. But good fight, man. I mean, main card was awesome. But let's talk about some of these prelims. We'll start with Ian Gary versus Darian Weeks. So, all right. I'm just gonna get into it. I don't want to.
Just gonna rip the band.
No, I'm not gonna rip them. I'm not gonna. All right. I'm trying to be nice here, because I've heard from people who's have talked about him that he is one of the nicest people. He's a good dude. So I don't want to seem like I'm attacking his actual character, because I'm not. But God, I can't stand this guy. I just can't stand him sometimes. I like watching him fight. I think he's charismatic, but like hearing every 5 seconds how much he loves Conor McGregor is already getting old, and this is his second fight in the UFC. Like, and the fact that this fight, it was a win, like I'm not discounting that, but like it was an underwhelming one at that. Like we were saying, this was like a pretty tailor-made matchup for him, and we were saying that this is going to kind of tell us if we really think he's ready for like a tiny step up in competition. It was a win. That's what I'm saying. Like he won. You can't take away from that, and it was a good win. Like you could tell, like it was a pretty dominant one. But I don't know. I just think it was underwhelming. Like you're coming out still saying like I'm the next Conor McGregor. I talk like him and everything. Like I don't know. I was reading comments too because I said to myself, I was like, am I the only like? Am I being too harsh? Am I the guy? Like, am I being the hater here, hating on this like guy who's getting some hype? But no, I looked in the comments and people are saying what I'm saying. They're like, all right, buddy, like you like Conor, like pump the brakes, like do your own thing. Like it's not that you don't like him, it's just like, you know, we want originality. Like that's my thing. Like I think that originality is good in MMA, and I think that's the best way to build your brand is by being you and not by trying to emulate someone else's success. Because I think that he has that potential and he's got the talk to back it up. But I think that he's just like, he's taking a little misstep here by constantly being like copying McGregor's post-fight quotes, constantly mention, and like, you know, it's fine to have like an inspiration, but like, you know, when's it too much? Like, you know what I mean? Like to detriment of your promotion, because like people are starting to already like just get like annoyed by it, and I mean, I guess I'm one of those people, but I just, like, I don't want to, like, you get what I mean? Like, I don't want to sound too harsh, because it's not that I don't like him. Like, I think he's a good fighter, obviously, and, like, he's young, he's got a lot of potential. But,
Yeah,
you know, he didn't do too well before the finish in his first fight, and this was, like, a pretty good decision win, but, like, nothing too crazy. I don't see it yet. I mean, he's definitely got time, but I don't see it yet.
Well, I mean, you've probably, like, because me are, like, the only Ian Gary fights I've watched are his 2 in the UFC, so you probably have more, like, you've seen more about him and his time outside than I have.
I've seen some, and like he's good there, like he's definitely really good there, but then you have to also factor in like that's not the UFC though. Like there's a whole this is a whole other ballgame.
And like I need, as it's it, I still need to see a bit more, like, because, you know, I don't think he's a point fighter. Like,
no,
I don't think
he's a good counter striker.
Yeah,
that's what it is. I don't think he's trying to point fight, but he's looking for a knockout.
He uses his height advantage. He uses his height to his advantage with the leg kicks, which I think he is good at as well. And
he's got like the
that's
tools.
Really all,
I
like,
just think he needs to progress more before we start saying that he's.
I think
next.
it kind of looks like he's just looking to just not get finished right now.
I guess that's a fair assessment. I mean, you're right about the height. He's 6'3". I didn't even realize that. But the other thing that, like, I knew he was young, but I didn't know he was really, like, this young. He's only 24, so, like, that's the other thing, too. He does have potential. Like, it's there for the taking. He just needs to work over time. And like we've said, he has a great camp, so.
I need to see more in this point in time for a guy dubbing himself as the future. Like,
oh yeah, you had a good laugh about that when we were watching. I remember you were like, dude, you had a little remark. No, I get it. It's, you know, just like
I'm not asking for anything like, you know, insane here, like, you know, on some Anthony Pettis off the cage and head kick, but I like at least some more volume, like more strikes being landed, and I'm not seeing it right now. Not to say I'm not seeing like, oh, this guy has no hope whatsoever.
Yeah.
In the
24,
UFC,
he's got all the hope in the world, man. Like he's gotten in here just early. He has 2 wins in the UFC already.
Yeah, right now, because obviously, like, it's no secret he's putting quite a lot of pressure on himself with this whole, you know, Conor McGregor 2.0 shtick, but you know. Which in that case, like, you know, if this is how you're gonna be getting your wins, it's not even that like this is how you're getting your wins. It's just this is like the competition that is being handed to you right now, and like this is how you're getting a win. You know, it's not what fans really want to see. So
yeah, it's good for a guy who's trying to stay in the promotion. And
yeah, like it'll be good enough
like,
to keep you afloat, but. You know, if we're really trying to market this guy and push this guy as the next Conor McGregor, then
the thing that scares me with him,
you got to make sure like he can actually hang in there with.
Well, the
these
thing
top
that scares
guys.
me with him, and the reason why I keep saying he might be screwing himself a little bit by comparing himself to Conor constantly, is when you're talking that big and you're gonna start piling up the wins, even if it's against low level competition. In the UFC, people are going to start demanding that he gets a rise in competition, and he might not be ready for that yet. I don't think he's ready for that yet.
It's clearly
it won't be his next fight, but it's going to happen at some point, and he better hope that he's ready at that point. Because, you look at Sugar Sean O'Malley, too, like, it's the same thing. When he fought, like, a bunch of guys who were, like, either up and coming still, or they were just, like, in Eddie Wineland's case, on the downtrend. And then you go up against a guy like Cheeto, like, that's a big step up. And I think Sugar did good in that fight before, obviously, the leg kick. But, still, it just speaks to, like, the fact that, like, there's real levels to MMA. And, like, he really is in a tough division to be talking like that, because welterweight is so deep. You got guys, like, that division, honestly, is, like, 30 deep of good fighters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They could all beat each other on any given night in that top, like, 15, really. Like, I mean, we just saw number 11 beat number 2 in Hamzat and Burns, so that's how, like, fluid this division is, you get what I'm saying? But, I mean, I like him, though. I do, like, he seems like he's a good dude, and he's got, like, a lot of potential, but it's just, like, I'm tired of hearing about how much he likes Conor McGregor, man. I get it. You're from Dublin. You should love Conor McGregor. I'm glad he got him into the sport, but I don't know, just a little originality. That's, like, I feel like that's not crazy, right?
No, dude. Like I didn't.
Like I said, I'm not attacking the guy's personality. It's just, like, the things he's saying, really.
Exactly. It comes off as forced.
It's like more like forced, and it's like kind of like too much of.
Hey,
like a
here's
fanboy.
the next big Irish welterweight. You know, so. You remember Conor McGregor? Like,
if you don't, you'll remember it by the free post-fight Cold City copies when he's talking to Joe Rogan. Well, he started remember the because that was the featured prelim. Remember we were getting close to the main card, and it was running late, and it was 10 o'clock. And we're like, all right, let's just watch his interview, give him the benefit of the doubt. He started talking about Conor. I'm like, oh god. And then, like, he goes, hey, everybody, Jacksonville. Ole, ole. I was like, all right, next. I turned on the pay-per-view after that. I was like, I can't take it. It's just, I can't stand copycats in anything. Like, it's not just MMA. Like, you know me, I don't like remakes of movies, TV shows, like, because it just, you're lacking originality. I like creativity. And when you're doing things like that, that's not creative. Like, I can go in there and knock someone out and say, I'm the next Conor McGregor. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't have to be from Dublin to say something like that. Like, there's plenty of guys who have said that and failed. That's the thing.
You've put on a persona and impression of Conor way better than in the past, and way better than I think Ian Gary has so far.
I think I was a little more committed to it. I will say that. I don't think he was. I don't know if he's trying to get the look like I was trying to get the look in that video, and I mean, as I was for Halloween.
Well, you know what? He wants the look in the cage, and
he's growing a beard, man. He's got a clean shave. Conor didn't have no clean shave when he first got in the UFC.
That, and from a fighting sense as well, which I don't, not to say like, oh, like, how about you actually be as good as Conor if you're gonna talk yourself up as this?
No,
but
it's not even that. It's just that it's too much. That's all. Like, that's
too much, and like so far, like through 2 UFC fights, like I'm not saying. I'm not saying or not, but I haven't seen a whole
I put it like this: I'm not seeing it yet.
Yeah,
because he's 24.
Exactly. I don't want to make it seem like, this guy is nothing. Like, he's not gonna not
I don't want to say that. I'm just saying pump the brakes. Because it's very early. Guy's 24 years old. Give him some time to develop.
I mean, we'll see how the UFC feels. Like, hopefully, like, they're not. He's even like.
They seem to like him. They seem to like him.
Like, we're for the fights. Like, we still want to see these guys like put on the best career path possible.
I want to see everybody make all the money in the world and win as many fights as they can and not take damage. Like, That's what they all deserve. Like,
Yeah.
fighters have a rough go as it is, man. So I don't root for the downfall of anybody.
So like, yeah, we're not trying to see like in that sense, because obviously he'll get like he's gonna get destroyed and like it's not gonna make for a good fight. But like, you know, like that's once like that happens, like that's the fight that can change like the entire, you know, course of his career, and just like, yeah, and then that's when it's really like, okay, like, you know, Ian Gary's like amounted to nothing in the UFC. But you know, still, obviously, like you said, 24 years old, plenty of potential in the
lot
world.
of upside.
He's still 2-0.
I have faith. I mean, I'm going to give him some time. It's just not yet, you know? But on to another fight that I know you liked in the moment, so I'm going to let you talk. But Raquel Pennington versus Aspen Ladd. You said you loved that fight, I remember, as you were watching it.
Yeah. I did love the fight, but I definitely loved more so the performance and showing on the feet from Raquel Pennington. That was ferocious, a striking masterclass, I think. She was just landing just almost every single strike, and they were all significant. And, like, yeah, like, the only going for Aspen Ladd had for herself was, you know, on the ground. And then I think she, like halfway through the first round, like I think she was just playing catch up for pretty much the entire fight, like just trying to get points any way she could, and like Raquel, I think Aspen Ladd definitely came on as the fight got deeper and deeper, but Raquel, like, she was just relentless with the strikes, just landing almost every single one, and yeah, that'll get the job done for sure.
It's just tough because Aspen Ladd, she's really good. It's just stylistically, she seems to struggle with good boxers like Raquel Pennington or Norma Dumont,
because Raquel Pennington's boxing was allowed to be
and we said that
completely put on display.
We said if she's gonna win, it's gonna be using that, and it's gonna be like by beating her up like that on the feet and pushing her around, and that's exactly what happened. Like, Raquel Pennington, like, I'm impressed. She's done really well lately, and she was calling for, I think she said title eliminator versus Sarah McMahon. I don't know about title eliminator, but I wouldn't mind seeing that fight. It's honestly, two OGs. Like, they've been around for a little bit. Honestly, I was shocked to see they hadn't fought yet. Like, that's a good fight. I'll take that.
Yeah. Just with that year. I didn't know that. I knew that Sarah McMahon was an OG. I didn't know that Raquel Pennington was an OG.
Well, like, not OG in the sense like a Liz Carmouche, like Ronda Rousey, like pioneer.
Yeah,
but,
I know what you mean.
I remember, like, she was on The Ultimate Fighter one of the seasons. I forget which. I want to say it was the one with Misha Tate versus Ronda Rousey, because she fought Misha in Misha's for like retirement fight. And Misha was like her coach, which is why it was like a big deal. But, so she's been around for, like, a while now, because, like, you got to think, like, Misha Tate and Ronda Rousey, that's, like, 2013, so that's a long time ago at this point. That's, like, almost 10 years. So she's been around for a little bit, and honestly, like, I'm happy that she's getting some credit. Like, you know, people are finally, like, she beat Aspen Ladd. That's a big win, because Aspen Ladd is, like, a good prospect. So I hope she gets that fight that she wants at Sarah McMahon. I feel like the UFC will give it to her. She's earned it at this point. Both of them have.
Yeah.
But on to another fight, Gall versus Malat. I mean, I'm a big Mickey Gall fan, man. I didn't want to see him go down like that. But he was doing all right at first. He was landing, which I wasn't, like, I figured, honestly, most of his work would be done on the ground, but he was doing all right on the feet, like, which was kind of surprising to me. But the thing is, he had his chin up the whole time, and they even said it on the commentary. And that's
I think he was clearly ready for a fight on the feet, like just a striking, like for more than likely just most like
it's more just a
striking.
Thing.
Yeah, exactly. But
he's got his work on the
striking. You're gonna take Mickey Gall out of his comfort zone, like, you know.
He was coming
like that
forward,
can happen.
Putting good pressure, like, for some of it, and like. But the thing is, when he was coming in, landing hooks on Malat, his chin was right up, and then perfect.
I think exactly. My Malat just set it up perfectly too. It's almost like, I guess he kind of saw that. I guess he saw that coming. Like, he proved he was right. Like, he said he was gonna finish Mickey Gall. He was gonna knock him out. Yeah. And you know, we were talking. At least me, on Friday, I was talking, like, you know, as to why, like, I don't really think that he does. And like you said, the chin was wide open for the taking for pretty much the entire fight, and he just set up the 1-2 perfectly. And
like he's a pinpoint striker, and you see
like good. I guess good on Mickey to like get realize like yo shoot, I just got freaking knocked down, like just put on my face, and like cause it was not like he was knocked out. Yeah, he recovered, but nah, dude. Like
I think the way I don't fault the stoppage. Like when you see a guy fall on his face like that, like you can't fault the ref for thinking he's a lot more hurt.
you took a shot.
Honestly, I think what it is, I think the ground and pound might have snapped him out of it more than anything. Yeah. So I just I'm impressed though by Mike Malott. I mean, Obviously, I knew his skill set coming in. I didn't know. I knew he was a good striker, but I didn't know he was the striking coach of Team Alpha Male. That went right over my head until the fight night. So that's pretty cool. I mean, I should have realized that coming in. That would have probably affected my opinion a little bit, because even though he doesn't have the MMA experience, you're sparring guys at Team Alpha Male all those years. You're having experience. Like you're fighting some of the best. You're not fighting, but you're training with some of the best guys in the world. So I'm just and then also after the fight too, I just love that thing that his whole thing with his coach's daughter having cancer, and now the UFC is gonna match what he said he was gonna give, and they're gonna double it too. So he was gonna give his 10K win bonus, which is, by the way, he's getting paid 10K and 10K. I hope people are realizing this, because if he's giving 10K to win, that means he got paid 10K to show, most likely. Yep. So just $20,000 for a UFC fight, which is baffling. But aside from that, because I want to focus on the positive of this, just him giving 10K, and then hopefully Dana, I'm sure Dana obviously keeps his word about doubling that, and then that's just incredible, man. I'm glad he's using the what's it called? The word is just escaping me, but pretty much he's using the platform to do some good for people, and I respect that, especially when you're only getting paid what he's pretty much getting paid. That's really taking it out of your own pocket, and I respect that a lot. So I like him. I became a fan after this fight, honestly, so I'm intrigued to see what comes next with him. He's definitely an interesting guy to look out for. But the last fight I do want to touch on the prelims is Alexio Oleinik versus Jared Vanderaa. That one went pretty similar to how I figured it would, honestly. Vanderaa was doing pretty good at first, but man, when a heavyweight is not in that upper echelon and they're dealing with the level of grappling that Oleinik brings, it's just a wrap. You saw it enough. It's just the jiu-jitsu was on another level. And I think that's really what it was. But what did you take away from that fight? Similar things, or?
I mean, I'll give Vanderaa his credit. He almost not that I thought he was honestly gonna get. I honestly thought he was gonna get it in, but he had the triangle set up, which is is a feat in of itself with Alexio Oleinik. I think
that's true. I mean, but then again, this is the same guy who puts himself on bottom and mount to get chokes. Half guard. This guy's something,
in typical Alexio Oleinik fashion, he got out of it and then managed to get side control and get a neck crank finish.
This guy's awesome, man. I'm such a 60 wins, man. How awesome is that stat to have 60 wins?
And how many by submission?
I'm gonna look this up because I want to know too now. Alexi.
Because
if I spell this. Oh, I got it actually. Hold up, I'm gonna tell you
that the amount of submission wins is for if a guy had that many fights would be impressive.
Let's see. He has. All right, I'm gonna have you guess the number. So he has 60 wins, obviously. Guess how many?
44.
Wow, that's actually pretty close. 47.
So it's more than
47 submissions, 8 TKOs, and then 5 decisions. That's man. That is some resume that this guy has.
The boa constrictor.
He's a legend, man. I don't care what anybody says. I get that he hasn't reached those heights in the UFC, but still,
dude,
60 pro wins.
How old is he? I know mid 40s.
44. He's 44.
44 years
45
old.
in June.
Neck crank finishes. Come on.
That's impressive, man. I like that. All power to him. I hope he keeps going.
Yeah, he's fun. He's a lot of fun to watch. But It's when he can get any sort of hold in, like, just hold your breath.
Exactly. I mean, I guess to wrap up the UFC part of this, there were other fights on the prelims, but I mean, I don't really see that there's like too much to get into with them. So I mean, we're not just gonna waste time talking about fights that we don't want to talk about as much. So we're gonna move on a little bit, just because there is more happening in the combat sports world. Boxing, dude. I mean, this weekend I think it's welter. I'm not as big of a boxing fan anymore as I am the UFC. I probably should have looked this up at first, but I kind of. But Ugas versus Spence, dude. That's gonna be a good fight. Title unification. Errol Spence, 27-0. I mean, people are asking if this guy's for real, and like that's why people wanted to see him fight Pacquiao, but obviously that didn't happen because I think Spence had like a detached retina or something like that. But obviously he's back fighting Ugas, who's 27-4, just beat Manny Pacquiao obviously to win the belt that he has, and it'll be a title unifier. Let's see. Errol Spence has the WBC. Okay. I was right, by the way, about welterweight. He has the WBC and IBF welterweight title, and I want to say Ugas has the WBA. It's either that or WBO, obviously, but let's see. I want to find out, though. That's the thing. Oh, yeah, it is WBA. Okay. So, that fight's obviously going to be interesting. I mean, I can't speak as much about, like, the technical aspects of boxing.
Which two belts are being unified?
Well, they're both... Well, you know how it is with boxing. They got belts for every organization. They got the WBC, WBO, IBF, WBA, but it's all the same weight class. It's all welterweight.
Okay.
So, like I said, Ugas has the
that
WBA
makes sense.
one.
All right.
I think... Oh, yeah, because Terrence Crawford has the WBO. That's because everybody's been... I think the winner of this fight has to fight Terrence Crawford. I'm a boxing casual at this point, but maybe not a casual, probably a little more than that. But
That's more than that.
It's just like I don't think boxing casuals know who Ugas is. But I can't wait for this fight. I like seeing high level boxing fights, and like for a long time especially like during like our childhood and stuff. Like those lower weight classes like were the ones that were really stacked. Like you had like Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, Marquez, Miguel Cotto. I could keep going. I don't even need to. But now it's coming back because you got these guys. You got Terrence Crawford. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of other guys in the mix. I mean, that's like a pretty good weight class. Welterweight has always had some killers.
Yeah, because I feel like it's been like the Furies and the Wilders and the Canelos of the world dominating like the boxing scene, and which like is, I think before the Mayweather and the Pacquiao era, like it's kind of like it's weird. It's kind of like a pattern because I think before that was like when heavyweight boxing like this is what it's all about. Like two of the biggest like just most imposing powerful athletes just going at each other for
that's always
rounds.
Been like the good thing about heavyweight boxing. I think that people are just like intrigued by the spectacle of it, and like even with that we can get to the next fight that I was going to talk about, Tyson Fury versus Dillian White, I think that's also a title unifier if I'm not mistaken. Let's see, I don't know if Dillian White currently is holding any belts. Okay, he's the WBC interim champion, so that's why he deserves like the next shot against Fury, because Fury's he's the actual champion for the WBC, because obviously he took that from Wilder.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, that's a good fight too. I've been wanting to see that one because I thought Dillian White deserved it, honestly, and then, I mean, obviously the stuff with Joshua fell through because Joshua I feel like Anthony Joshua, man, like people keep hyping him up, but then he keeps like running into like little roadblocks here and there. Like, and people don't talk about the guys who are beating him enough. Like Andrew Ruiz got some hype, but like people thought it was a fluke. But Usyk, the guy who beat Anthony Joshua, he's no slouch, man. Like I want to see him versus Tyson Fury, and like I think if Fury beats White and doesn't say like he keeps saying he's gonna retire, but I mean he might. Who knows? But I don't really believe that. I think that he should definitely at least fight Usyk and then maybe call it quits. But I'm just excited, man. Like I felt like we just had to like talk about the fact that these are happening, just because like, you know, we don't want to like focus 100% on the UFC.
No, yeah, dude, it's a like. Well, no, you said there's only one title unifier, right? Or these both titles? They're both
sort of. I mean, interim. I don't know, boxing, man. Like, there's 900.
Both huge title fights, regardless. Like,
yeah,
you know,
any Tyson Fury fight is a big fight for boxing.
This
honestly.
is the Hurt Handbook. Like, this is something worth talking about. And
no, honestly, like I'm thinking about it, like. The Fury fight is on April 23rd, and I know the UFC card for that, like the main event is like, I think we talked about, is like Jessica Andrade and like Amanda Lemos, which is like a good fight, but it's not the most like, you know, intriguing matchup in the world. But I think honestly, depending on what happens in that boxing match, we might be talking more about that on the next Hurt Handbook. Well, not the next one, but the one after that.
Fair enough.
But we'll see. I mean, obviously I'm intrigued for both of those. But, oh, yeah, I just saw this in, like, my little notes. One last thing that we definitely should touch on, just because, like, if people don't know about this fight, go on YouTube, pirate it, do something, go on, get UFC Fight Pass, ESPN Plus, whatever. But Cub Swanson versus Doo Ho Choi just got inducted to the UFC Hall of Fame yesterday. And, like, I think that the UFC Hall of Fame was, like, a joke, but I just thought that was, like, a good excuse to talk about the fight. Because if there's any like more casual or newer MMA fans that are like watching this, please find that fight. Like, you will love the sport if you watch that fight. Because, dude, Doo Ho Choi at the time was up and coming. I think it was honestly pretty similar to how Khamzat was coming up. Like, he was finishing guys pretty quickly. And so they gave him a huge push against Cub Swanson, who I think was like number 4 at the time in the world featherweight. And people were saying this is going to be a good fight between two great strikers, and then obviously that fight ended up delivering, my opinion to this day, the best 3-round fight I've ever watched, because all 3 rounds was just chaos. Like, they both rocked each other multiple times. I remember, didn't we watch it for the first time? I know, well, you watched it for the first time, like, with me, right? I think that was the first time you watched it. I mean, just, what did you think of that fight upon your first watching it?
I feel, like, pretty comfortable putting it like at least in my top 3, if not number 2, like my favorite fights of all time.
Same, honestly. Like, it's just such a awesome fight. Like, the atmosphere.
No, yeah, like surely, like the rush I was getting when watching it, like was I hadn't.
If you've never seen that fight before, you'll be in awe. Like, you won't
excluding fights that I was watching live. I didn't get a rush like that, but. Other than Rory McDonald and Robbie Lawler too.
Another fight worth checking out.
Exactly, which is number 1 on my list before. So, yeah, it's like that. I was like, I think because it's crazy. Just at first, like it was Choi the one who was who was landing more and had Cub like in a bit of a bind to begin, and Cub just put it on, and then there was that from there. Like, there was just no like just room to like for error or just
they were dropping each other a couple times each round, bro. Like, you can't like, and that fight was so hard to score at first. Like, I mean, I obviously like I had it for Cub, and Cub, like, you know, spoiler alert for anybody who doesn't want to know, maybe pause the video and skip it. But obviously it happened. It was UFC 206, right? UFC 273. Like, watch the fight, but I'm not gonna like hold it back. But Cub Swanson obviously ended up getting the win, and Doo Ho Choi's career, like after that, never really got back to those heights. And Cub, you know, he kind of stayed around that top 5.
Yeah, man, Doo Ho Choi, you know, I think it was like a year layoff or whatever after that fight, which obviously after a fight like that, like that
he lost to Jeremy Stevens.
He gets Jeremy freaking Stevens up next.
How are you gonna give that guy Jeremy Stevens after a fight like that? Like, that's crazy, bro. Give him a grappler. Give him a guy who's gonna lay on him at that point. Like, jeez. But yeah, it's just any time like there's an excuse to talk about that iconic UFC fight, we just have to talk about it. And like I said, like, for any newer MMA.
That's cool. Because honestly, I learned today that like fights themselves got inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, they got like the whole fight
wing.
It's a cool concept. I just think it should be like other sports. Like, they should have like an MMA Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
because like the UFC having control over that. Like, Randy
pretty-
Couture is not a UFC Hall of Fame, like technically.
That is pretty flawed. Yeah.
Like people who Dana and like the brass don't like are never gonna get inducted into like things like that, and that discounts like their whole.
Exactly.
Like, Tito Ortiz is another one of the pioneers of the whole promotion. Like he was one of the UFC's first big stars, and him and Dana hate each other obviously, and I don't think he's getting in there anytime soon. But he's a pioneer of the sport. You know what I mean? So I think I just wish that there was an actual like MMA Hall of Fame that was like fully respected, and obviously it's a fairly new sport, so hopefully we do get to see something like that in the future. I mean, this fight will definitely be one of the first ones inducted to the fight wing of that Hall of Fame, if there is one. But, I mean, it's definitely well-deserved. Cub Swanson and Doo Ho Choi put on a show that night, and like I said, I keep hammering it down, but I gotta keep saying it. If you have not seen that fight, go watch it. Trust me, it will be one of the best fights you've ever seen. But with that, I mean, that's about all there is to cover, I guess. I mean... hey man, we really definitely towed it today. We did the UFC and some boxing. We're getting out there. There'll be stuff to cover though. I mean, there'll always be big Bellator fights, big
of course.
Fights, so we'll see what happens in the future. And hey, maybe next week we'll be talking about Spence versus Ugas. I'll definitely have it on for us. But yeah, I mean, great weekend of fights. Honestly, UFC 273 lived up to my hype at least. I enjoyed it. How about you? You have a good time watching that card?
Of course, yeah. Like, these pay-per-views they keep it's very hard for them to miss,
They put so much hype into it, man. I love it. Like, I'm all into
that. How can
you
not when you just look at the names and just the talent of individual fighters that are
just
fighting each other is like, it's awesome. Every single week, dude, it's sick.
Exactly. Like, I know people, like, for the pay-per-views who just like watching the fights, and like, obviously I get that. But me personally, man, I love just everything about Fight Week. Like, I'll watch the countdown, I'll watch the embeddeds. That just makes me that much more excited. And then you get the press conferences and the weigh-ins, too, which makes it awesome. Like, man, there's nothing quite like it, man. But with that, I guess we'll be signing off from the Hurt Handbook today. Obviously, stay tuned for Friday for the Hurt Sportsbook. That'll be on UFC Fight Night, Luque versus Muhammad 2. Yep. Can't wait to talk about that, and that'll be it for us tonight, so peace.
Thanks for watching, guys.